Loyalty can be one of the best competitive advantages that you can have because when you create loyalty, when you build that relationship, you're actually building relationship capital. Is loyalty a competitive advantage? I will share with you, I believe it is. In the book, An Insider's Guide to Business, the book I recently published, I talk about in chapter 10 how loyalty can really serve you as a competitive advantage. Too many times, especially in today's world, it's a quick fix world. And when a vendor partner or when an employee or really anybody, that's in your business ecosystem messes up or makes a mistake or does something, incorrect, we're too quick to judge and too quick to replace because there is so much opportunity in today's world. There are so many choices today and so many alternatives in today's world that it's more easy to do that. But I'll share with you that loyalty can be one of the best competitive advantages that you can have because when you create loyalty, when you build that relationship, you're actually building relationship capital. I want you to think about sitting at a poker table, right, with a mound of chips in front of you, and every time that you invest into the pot, you invest into the middle of the table, and someone else pulls and rakes that pot and wins that hand or whatever. But these are all your suppliers. These are your colleagues. These are your employees. These are your investors, your board members, whoever that are. They're all sitting around this poker table with you, and you invest in that pot, and they rake the pot and they collect those chips. If you think about those chips as loyalty chips, if you think about those chips as relationship capital, so instead of money, it's relationship money, it's relationship capital. And the more that you exchange with them, and the more that you are able to stack those relationship chips and they stack those relationship chips, the better the opportunity is down the road when you need something fast, you need something quick, you need something that is above and beyond what is really expected or even kind of normal. You can then grab from your mound of chips, from your stacks of chips, and push one of those into the middle of the table and redeem that relationship capital to get what you or your business needs. And in today's world, I just watch too often entrepreneurs and business people, even people in personal relationships, look for alternative options way too quickly versus continuing to work through the sticking points or the problems that you may be having with a vendor, you may be having with a colleague or an employee. Because when you do work through those and you stack more relationship capital and your pile of chips gets larger, you then have more opportunity in the future to leverage that relationship capital to get something that's very important for your business, get it done, very important for your life to make that happen because you've stacked these chips. And I see so many people that are playing the game of business with very few chips in front of them and feel that it's about them and it's only about them. And that can be an incredibly scary place to be when you're at the poker game of life, the poker game of business. And so I would really urge you, and I talk about this in chapter 10 of An Insider's Guide to Business, how loyalty is a competitive advantage exactly at the moment you need it to be a competitive advantage. So I don't want you to think about stacking relationship capital as, oh, I'm just going to keep doing this. I'm going to keep working with this guy or that gal or whatever so that one day I can get back what I need. You have to do it in an altruistic manner. You have to do it in a genuine and authentic manner. I think we would all agree in today's world, people can see right through the fake. They can see right through the inauthentic. So it has to be an authentic voyage that you're taking with all these people that are on the vessel that is your business, as you're taking it across the rough waters and the far vast ocean, right? But I would also add to that. That while loyalty is incredibly important, the understanding of what the relationship is between you and a vendor, or you and an employee, or you and an investor must be captured in writing. And what do I mean by that? I want to take loyalty and put it over here to the side and say that's incredibly important, and you want to stack those relationship chips, that relationship capital stack those chips. But on the other hand, it's also incredibly important to make sure that both sides understood what was just communicated and what is expected from each party. One of my favorite sayings in business is, paper remembers, people forget. Just think about that for a second. Paper remembers, but people forget. And it's not that people are being dishonest or twisting the truth. It's that in their mind, things happen a certain way, because in our mind is our perception, and our perception is our reality. But when it gets captured on paper, and that could be an email follow-up. So let's say we have a great meeting, we agree on some action items, and instead of saying, all right, cool, you know what to do? Yep, I know what to do. Awesome. All right, we'll meet back in a week and we'll make sure it's all done. When you meet back in a week, chances are, if it was not formalized in a follow-up email or formalized in a written document or meeting notes or whatever form, or meeting software, whatever you use, chances are that the two parties coming back together with the finished action items will not likely match up. And that's not because one of them did something incorrect. It's because the perception of what was expected was different, because it was never formalized. So I implore you that when you're coming to an agreement with somebody, have that verbal exchange, make sure that you agree on what needs to happen, and then say, great, I'll just follow up with an email that will capture everything we talked about so that we can both make sure that we fully understand what needs to happen. And then when you send that email, this is what I do. What's worked for me is when I send an email, I just say, please confirm receipt and that everything in here makes sense and there are no further questions. That way, I know for sure that they read it, they received it, and that there is no issue that needs to be clarified before we meet again on whatever action items they are. But boy, we get going so fast in life, we get going so fast in the world that we fail to take that 1 minute, that 2 minutes, and formalize what we just determined and decided on in either meeting notes or in a follow-up email. Same thing would go for contracts. Like, so many people are like, well, I do handshake deals. Yeah, those are great until they're not. But a wonderful contract, a wonderful agreement, written agreement, is one that you never have to look at, because all of the context happened up front, all of the agreement happened up front, and it was written and memorialized in writing so that there are no questions going forward. And hopefully you never have to look at that contract, because things are moving progressively and you're working amicably to solve any issues or resolve anything. But my experience has been that when you formalize and memorialize it in writing, it stops 99% of all the headaches that can happen from misunderstanding, miscommunication, or quite frankly, somebody maybe not being completely truthful or forthcoming. A written document just kind of cleans all that up. So on one hand, you want to stack relationship capital, and you want to be loyal to the people that deserve that loyalty. And you want to give them a second opportunity if they do screw up or if they make a mistake, because those relationships are worth something. They are worth sometimes an immaterial amount of money, because they can help you out of a jam when you cash that chip and say, I know you've got 1,000 things on your plate, but Mr. Vendor or Mrs. Vendor or Mr. Investor, I need X, Y, Z, and I need it fast. And here's how what I'm going to do with it. And here's how you'll benefit from it as well. But I need a leap of faith on this. And we've been working together for a long time. If you don't have a great relationship, you haven't stacked relationship capital, you don't have loyal relationships, you're missing out on a competitive advantage. And then on the flip side of that, you want to memorialize your agreements, your ways of working together in writing up front, so that there's no issues on the back end. You do that and you'll be way ahead of the game. Good luck, knock 'em dead. Thank you for tuning in to the ThriveMore podcast. Don't forget to take a look at the show notes for any of the resources that we mentioned during the podcast. And if you haven't already, be sure to hit the subscribe button and turn on your notifications so you have access to the latest and the greatest. You can connect with me on any of the socials at Real Roger Martin. And be sure to check out our website, thrivemorebrands.com. There you'll find information on the brands we support and information on franchising. Thanks again for tuning in.